constructed by the Brodal National Fleet Yards of the Hakarn Sovereignty to fill the role of a fast attack craft. With enough firepower to threaten larger capital ships, the Docran-class destroyer has quickly become the favored military warship for the Sovereignty for its speed, firepower, and reliability, becoming a symbol of the Hakarn's aggressive stance to warfare, and a sign for panic to anyone foolish enough to be in its way. At a length of 85 meters, a width of 46 meters, and a height of 28 meters, the narrow frame of the Docran class is propelled by 4 Type 3 ion thrusters, and maneuvered by pairs of reaction control thrusters, making the craft capable of accelerating very quickly and turn just as well. However, braking the craft to a halt does require the whole craft to flip around to perform a deceleration burn. Everything about the Docran class was built towards it being a glass cannon, focusing on speed, maneuverability, and firepower. With its defenses only, its maneuverability and its first-generation hard light shielding, the latter of which needs to be turned off in order to use any of its weapons, or risk have them impact inside the shield and damaging the craft. The main armaments of the Docran-class destroyer are 4 dual rocket turrets, able to deliver a continuous spread of anti-armor high-explosive warheads, anti-shield plasma rockets, and anti-personnel flechette rockets, ensuring that it can be a threat to any enemy defensives. The craft is also equipped with 2 medium torpedo launchers, capable on delivering a larger amount of damage for a further distance than the rockets, but a considerably larger and easier to intercept. But the added flexibility of having stronger plasma warheads, or the simple kinetic impact round, is still appreciated. The final pair of weapons in the Docran's arsenal are the dual spinal 500mm railguns that are able to accelerated tungsten slugs at 3.5 kilometers per second. However, the reload time takes several minutes as the railgun capacitors recharge and the heat disperse from the front radiators. The crew complement of the Docran class fits 25 naval personnel, and it's possible of holding an additional 5 on board Marines for ship security. But this is not a common practice, as the Hakarn Sovereignty ensures that everyone on board is capable of fighting in close quarters combat when needed, and that they are trained with appropriate weaponry. The Docran class destroyer was brought into service for the Hakarn Navy almost 50 years after the warp gate shutdown, as the economy afterwards was returning from a state of emergency rationing, and the Sovereignty now able to put their resources back into space expansion and defense, promoting it as a chance to gain a better standard of living to the still dejected civilian population. Once the Docran class was introduced, like all ships of the Hakarn Navy, it stayed in service for far longer than it was expected to, as the economy was still unstable, and the development of new ships were halted until the Sovereignty was able to stabilize. Unfortunately, they were left without enough time, as the sudden appearance of a large Dorian conglomerate fleet entering into Hakarn territory, demanding them to surrender. This demand was met with a violent response, leading which was the Docran destroyers, with orders to demonstrate to these invaders that the Sovereignty was not one to take demands of surrender lightly. This first skirmish in the Hakarn-controlled star system of Miquela was one of the many sparks that began the uprising war of 228 WS. Even with its almost 180-year-old navy, the Hakarn Sovereignty was still able to hold back the Dorian conglomerate fleets, and even defend their new allies for 7 years, the Ariawant Confederacy, the United Demari Nations, the Akrashi Union, the Krita United Nations, and the United Mrig Republic, until they were able to construct or capture ships to bolster a counterattack against the conglomerate. Now after the war, many ships of the Hakarn Sovereignty, including the Docran-class destroyer, received upgrades and improvements from the new Dorian Commonwealth as part of their reparations agreement, and the Hakarn remained a military powerhouse for the next following years, as the other members of the new Zonix League tried to catch up to match or surpass their designs. But it was during the uprising war where the Hakarn found a sense of stability and focus, as the united population was able to stop the onslaught of corporations, and the personnel of the Hakarn military swelled in size, placing them as impressive soldiers, and now protectors of the League. Like and subscribe for more from the archives.